All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this secret process, the thing that literally makes our entire digital world work. We're talking about that invisible, unsung hero that stands between you and a totally buggy, frustrating app experience. And that hero? It's the humble test case.
So to really get this, let's start with a problem. A truly universal one. A kind of digital pain that I guarantee every single one of us has felt.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're in the middle of booking a flight, or you're trying to make a payment, sending that super important message, and boom, the app just crashes. Or maybe worse, you're tapping a button over and over and absolutely nothing happens. That moment of pure digital frustration, yeah, that's where we're going to start.
Well, here's the thing. That chaos, that frozen screen, it's not just bad luck. And, it's not inevitable either. Believe it or not, behind every single smooth, reliable app you love, there's this really deliberate, systematic process. It's designed to literally hunt down and squash those bugs before they ever get to you.
So, what is this process? Well, it's all built around this one really powerful foundational tool. You could call it the tester's secret weapon, and it's basically the hero of our story today.
It's called a test case. And honestly, it's way simpler than it sounds. The best way to think about it? It's just like a recipe. Seriously, it's a specific step-by-step set of instructions that a tester follows to check if one tiny piece of an app, like the save button or a login field, is working exactly the way it's supposed to.
Okay, so not all test cases are created equal. They basically come in two main flavors. First, you've got your high-level test case. This is the big, abstract idea, right? Something like, hey, let's just verify a new user can be created. That's the goal. But then, you get to the low-level test case. This is where it gets real. This is the super detailed recipe. Enter this username, click this button, and then check that this exact success message shows up. It's what turns that big idea into a real, repeatable action.
So, if the test case is so important, like the fundamental building block of good software, what's actually inside one? Let's pop the hood, Let's dissect it and really look at its core parts.
Okay, let's break this down. Over on the left, you've got the mandatory stuff, the things you absolutely have to have. The ID so you can track it, the title, which tells you the goal, the description or steps, that's the recipe itself, and the expected output. This is super important because it's how you know what working actually means. And finally, the status, which tells you if it passed or failed. But then look over on the right. This is the good to consider stuff that makes a test case really solid. A precondition makes sure you're starting in the right spot. Like, hey, you need to be logged in first. And using specific test data means anyone on the team can run the exact same test and get a reliable result every single time.
And listen, that test case ID, it's way more important than you might think. It's not just some random number. A really good ID, like the one you see here, user_MGT_create_01, it tells a whole story by itself. Instantly, any tester on the team knows. We're working on user management, we're testing the create feature, and this is test number 1 for that feature. It's all about making things super clear and easy to trace.
And that status field we mentioned, that's basically how testers keep score. Did it pass? Awesome, it worked. Did it fail? That's actually great news too because it means we found a bug before a user did. Or maybe it's blocked, meaning we can't even run this test because something else is broken. Then you have skipped for when a test just isn't relevant right now and not tested, which just means, well, we haven't gotten to it yet. This whole system tracks the life of a test.
But here's the thing. A single test case, that's just one brick in the wall. To really, truly protect an app, you need to build a whole fortress. A single feature isn't safe with just one test. No way. It needs to be surrounded by a whole strategy of tests, creating this fortress of quality around it.
And you can think of that fortress as having 4 layers. First up, you have the user interface tests. Simple stuff, right? Does it look and feel right? Are the buttons all lined up? Then layer 2. Functional tests. This is where we ask, okay, but does clicking that button actually do the thing it's supposed to do? Then, layer 3 is field validation. What if someone gets creative and types their name into the phone number field? We got to check for that. And finally, layer 4, roles and permissions. Can a regular user get into the admin section? They shouldn't. Each layer is just checking that same feature from a totally different angle.
All right, so we've seen what a test case is, we've looked at its anatomy, we've even seen how they build a fortress. Now, let's bring it all home and talk about the so what. Why does getting this right matter so much? Not just for developers, but for all of us.
So what's the difference between just an okay test case and a great one? Well, it really boils down to 3 key things. First, it has to be crystal clear and simple. Like anyone on the team should be able to look at it and run it, no questions asked. Second, it's got to be reusable. A great test is an investment that you can use over and over, saving a ton of time. And third, it needs to be focused. It should test one single thing and test that one thing really well.
So when you put it all together, what you're really seeing is this hidden architecture of reliability. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you use an app and it just works, it's seamless, it's flawless, just take a second. Think about that invisible army of tiny, precise test cases that are all working behind the scenes. And ask yourself, what invisible safety nets are holding your digital world together right now?